The Two Dragonoid by V3Veriza Chapter 23. In the meantime, a long time has passed. There is nothing visibly happening with Seal, but Rimuru still believes in her. Rimuru Pav, it's probably been years if time wasn't stopped, and yet there's nothing visibly happening with her. I really don't want to think about the worst that could happen, but they just keep coming. In the middle of fighting with those bad thoughts, I have an excellent idea. What if I make my nation as best as I possibly can, so that when she comes back it will amaze her? Nice idea, Rimuru. Thanks, Rimuru. You're welcome, Rimuru. You're the best, Rimuru. I know, Rimuru. I took control, monitoring the imaginary space, and set the time to be moving at just a bit slower than the outside world. But that means I need to keep an eye on it, which is of course a bit annoying. Well, it's fine since it is for her after all. I activate parallel processing and monitors all imaginary space. Even that one. Welp, let's just continue what I was doing before. Milim Pav. It's boring. I throw the paper on my hands. Milim, nay, you have to do this, Galacia says as she took the paper I threw on the floor. But it's boring. I want to go back with Rimuru. I slumped on the table. I want it as well. Then let's, but we still need to do this. HMPH, fine. She smiled smugly at me. What's that look for? Oofufu. Does that mean Milim Nay can't do this? Of course I can, I'm Rimuru's sister. She handed me the paper back. Here you go then. I started going through the paper as quickly as I could to prove her wrong. A few minutes later, Galacia, help me with this one. I hand over one of the papers. Sure, let me see. She took a glance at the paper. I see. What did you see? And also, you're only looking at it for a second, I complaining in my head. She then stood beside me and put the paper in front of us. Then what do you think about this problem? I don't know, there's just too many numbers and symbols that I didn't even know what it is and where it has come from. I don't even know the symbols. It's fine, they're just some markers. It's easy for you to say that. Galacia just sat beside me and started writing a few more numbers and symbols I don't understand on a new piece of paper. Alright, let's start with this one, she said softly. Pav ends almost an hour of Galacia trying to explain algebra to Milim later. Wrong. Count it again. Galacia yelled at Milim that are barely holding her tears. 34xy. Milim voice is shaking and a few tears dropped on the paper. Finally, yes, it's 34xy, we'll end it here for today. After Galacia said that, Milim rushed out of the door, breaking it. Galacia just woke up and cleaned the mess on the table before teleporting behind Milim that is about to take off. Where are you going, Milim Ne-sama? Galacia said coldly while grabbing her shoulder. Just visiting Rimuru for a while. I will be back in the evening, Milim stuttering. Galacia can see through her lies but decided to just let her go since she can just force her back if needed. Fine, keep your promise. I will, she says while launching to the sky. Galacia watches as she can be seen happily dancing in the sky while speeding off in the distance. Back in Tempest, Rimuru is in his office with Celestia that is currently playing with Yuru on the couch. Even though Rimuru could be seen calm, he's actually quite tired mentally. Why is it that I'm more exhausted now than all of the thousands of years back combined? Moreover, I can feel that Big Sis is coming this way. He thinks to himself before sobbing, catching the attention of Yuru. What's wrong? Yuru said as she watches Rimuru go up from his chair. Milim is coming here. Why? Who knows? Want to come with me? Yeah, what about Celestia? Of course she's coming too. He put her on his shoulder. Celestia is a bit confused about it, so she just grabbed his hair. Okay, then let's go, he said as he opened the door. Yeah. They get out of the room and Diablo suddenly appeared beside them and bowing like usual. May I ask, where are you going, Rimuru-sama? Milim is coming here, so you'll be the one in charge while I'm gone. Understood. And so they walked to where Milim probably went to land. On the way, Rimuru enjoyed the walk through the city and seeing everyone is lively and well. He then noticed 3 girls that were talking in the middle of the street. Oi Yuru, aren't those girls the ones that joined our meeting back then? He says, pointing to the girls. Oh, they're Nemu, Stella and who? Is it Foss or Foss? Yuru asserted. Okay, I get it, you forgot her name, whatever. Anyway, about that Nemu girl, did she manage to do it? Don't worry, she still haven't managed to do it. Okay then. Rimuru then about to continue walking, but before he could take a step Yuru grabbed his feet. What is it? Let's take a different route. Nah, let's just go this way, he said with a smirk and continued walking, dragging her along. Rimuru, you meanie. Yuru tried her hardest to pull his feet. Her attempt is futile though, after all they're now in front of the girls. Rimuru-sama, they all said at the same time and quickly bowing. You can lift up your head now, Rimuru said, not minding Celestia that is pulling his hair. They did as told and having different reaction while thinking of very different things. Why is he here? Did I make any mistakes? Sweat started dripping on Foss' worried face. It's him. It's really him. I want him to taste my cooking. Stella then goes on to think what kind of food she's going to make. That slime is over there, but His Majesty is also there. Nemu's excited face slowly changed into disappointment. Seeing Nemu's disappointed face added with Yuru keep staring at her, Rimuru couldn't help but say it. What's wrong, Nemu? You're allowed to go for her, you know. Really? They had an opposite reaction, but after Rimuru nodded, Yuru quickly slid away from there. Nemu quickly said thank you while bowing before flying as quickly as she could to follow Yuru. It's the start of the 6th bird and slime chase, free time. After watching Nemu and Yuru left, the remaining girls asked what is he doing here. Just getting some free air, he casually replied. Hearing his answer, they became less tense with his presence. Stella thinks for a bit before gathering her confidence to ask him. Rimuru-sama, would you like to try my cooking? Sure, he replied immediately. I mean, she couldn't be worse than Shein, could she? He continued. But make 2 portions, is it for Lady Celestia? She asked, looking at her. No, it's for Milim. Got it. She didn't question further and went to prepare the food. The fox girl just stared as her friend left her. Noticing her nervousness, he asked, so what are you doing here? Nothing. I was walking to the training ground when I met my friends. I see, I am going in the same direction, so do you want to go together? Sorry, but Nemu told me to visit Kaijin as soon as possible, she apologized. Don't worry about it, she apologized again before heading off to Kaijin's blacksmith. Well then, let's meet Milim, he asserted before walking again. At a training ground, everyone in the area noticed Rimuru and stopped whatever they're doing to greet him. You can go back to what you were doing. After everyone goes back what they're doing, Benimaru goes forward to ask. May I ask what are you doing here, Rimuru-sama? Milim is coming here? Lady Milim. Yeah, I don't know what happened over there either. Just after he said that, a loud boom could be heard, and soon after Milim's voice. Rimuru. Her shout could be heard as she landed. Her landing is so powerful that if it hadn't been for Rimuru's barrier, the nearest building would be blown away. Before he could say anything, Milim quickly hugged him. He simply smiled and hugged her back. A few moments passed and they didn't release the hugs, that is until Celestia touched Milim's head. Milim released the hug and looked up to see Celestia smiling at her. Rimuru released the hug as well and saw Milim, who couldn't hold back her urges to squish her face. You better not do it, sis. Okay, so what are you doing here? Oh yeah. Galacia let me go, so here I am, she sounded proud. Rimuru looks at her for a bit before saying, you're lying, aren't you? No, I don't. She told me I could go, and why she said that? Foo. She just continued making whistling noise. You run away, didn't you? His tone is full of disappointment. It's the numbers' faults. After she said that, and confusing silence fills the air. Even those training in the background could feel the confusion and tried their best to ignore it. Thankfully, the awkwardness is stopped by a growl from Milim's stomach. Let's eat for now and talk about it later, he said with a smile to get rid of the awkwardness. Yeah, she smiled back with excited look in her eyes. They then walked back to the city. Few minutes later. On the way back, Celestia got sleepy, so I placed her beside Seal. So what are we going to eat now? Milim excitedly asked. I don't know, how about you ask her instead? He pointed straight ahead. Milim looks to where he's pointing and sees a rather young blue-haired girl in front of a large building waving at them. They also noticed that it's the place where Haruna and Gobuichi usually teaches others how to cook. She welcomed and led them inside to a table with plates and bowls of foods already prepared. Milim gets excited immediately and pulled Rimuru to hurry up and sit on the table. Are you the one who made all of this? He asked to Stella. Yes. She proudly exclaimed, but I did got some help from Gobuichi on the ones that have broth. He just nods before looking at Milim, who can't wait to eat them. Shall we dig in? Yeah. They tried a dish that caught their eyes first, and surprisingly it's really good. The meat is nicely cooked and everything is rich in flavor. Rimuru commented on the dish he's eating. Stella, who heard his compliment, replied, "Thank you for your kind words," happily. Although it's still far from Shuna's cooking, Rimuru thought to himself. Milim, on the other hand, is busy eating as many stuff as she can. Small time skip, they finished their food and left the place with satisfied look, especially Milim. And now they're just walking with no destination in mind, so Rimuru asked. So what do you want to do now? I don't know, I never thought I'd get this far. What do you mean by that? Rimuru confusedly asked. Nothing, anyway let's check that out. She quickly changes the topic. He then looked to where Milim is pointing and sees a clothing shop. I don't know why I'm having a bad feeling about this, Rimuru thought to himself. Less than don't worry about it, greater than you're up to something, aren't you? Less than I'm always up to something, greater than you sure, or less than he sighed internally before replying to Milim with a smile, sure. He doesn't know it yet, but he'll regret it later on. Let's look at the ones for you first, Rimuru suggested. Milim just nodded at his suggestion and started walking around on her own, looking and taking the ones that took her interest, with Rimuru doing the same thing. Soon after they're back with handful of clothes, so they go to the changing room to try them on. What do you think? Milim, who comes out from the changing room, asked. I think it's a bit out of season, Rimuru answered honestly, it's early summer after all. Milim grumbled a bit before going back in to try the other clothes. What about this one? You looked good, but I don't think it's for you, he replied calmly, but inside, you looked really smart, but yeah, you're still cute though. Why is that? I don't know, just feel that way to me. She gets annoyed by that response, so she pulled him to the changing room with her. Wait, what are you doing? He nervously asked. We're going to try some of the matching ones. And so it started. Rimuru pav, oh no. There's no getting out of this now, right? Rimuru, try these. Yep. What's with the cat ears and tails? Don't mind it, you look good in it, she smiled widely. But it's embarrassing, but I'm wearing the same thing? Still, okay, let's wear these one. She handed me a pair while she herself tried another one. After trying the one she gave, she asked, how is it? It's good. Especially yours. Fine, try this one. She threw a set of clothes at me. Looking at it. There's no way I'm going to wear it, nay, can I not? Nope. You have to try it. She suddenly stared right at me. Sigh, can this end soon? Can I take it off now? Sure. This'll be the last one then. She handed me the clothes, looking at it. It'll be good for this season. She's also trying on a similar one to mine, so without hesitation I put it on. It feels nice and easy to move in. It's a nice change for a while. She's also done changing and smiled at me. You looked more fresh. I can say the same thing to you. So are we taking these? Do you want to? Yes? Okay, then summer will be fun?